Good evening. This is the Selectmen's meeting, Town of Goffstown, for 26th of November, 2012. First order on the agenda is our Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have minutes from the 21st of November that need to be reviewed and approved.
Move to accept. Second.
Any board members have changes to the page and a half of minutes here? Thank you. In favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
That's 5-0, Catherine. Motion passes. And I will hold open our public comment session, which was formerly another 8 or 9 minutes. And if anybody appears, we'll offer that opportunity to them. Sue or Chief O'Brien, if let me ask a question of Sue first. Do we expect anybody in attendance for the 6:20 session?
A message was left for the applicant, Mr. Gallo. He should be here at 6:20.
Chief, do you expect you could present your item in the next 15 minutes?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And we'll move you ahead. This is item 5 in our read-ahead packet.
Thank you. Good evening. Last January, we had a public hearing here for the Board of Selectmen to accept a grant, the 2011 Assistance to Firefighter Grant, which the grant was specified to install diesel exhaust removal system in Station 18 and Station 19, along with installing fire sprinklers to Station 18 and Station 19. Because of the bid process that we currently go through with our town purchasing policy, went through a competitive bid process, we have approximately $7,300 left in grant funds to use. Talking to the grant management folks with FEMA, who manage the program, they advised that they'd rather see the funds be used by the awarded department, the excess funds anyway, and but they also specified that it should go for a fire prevention type of program or equipment or a wellness, firefighter wellness program or equipment. And with that, I threw some ideas at them, including what I call is a live fire extinguishing training equipment. Every year what we do is we train civilians and CERT personnel from the police, and along with school personnel from the college campus on the proper effective use of fire extinguishers. And we do a rude and crude, very basic way of providing that training to them by burning some material in a pan, and we use some fire extinguishers that we have at the fire station. Unfortunately, it's a messy process, and it's a messy class, and it's tough for everybody to get hands-on experience with the fire extinguisher on live fire. This particular device is propane powered, so it gives the person the feeling, what it feels like to come up against some live fire and use a fire extinguisher. So what I'm proposing is just approval from the board here tonight to go ahead and use the excess funds towards this training equipment that'll be used for training firefighters and the public in the use of portable fire extinguishers.
And, thank you. And Chief, would you remind us again what amount of money you believe is gonna be left over from the grant?
We're just closing out the acceptance of the fire sprinkler systems in the stations. And right now, I'm estimating that approximately $7,400 will be remaining in the grant. And that's just about how much it costs for what they call a trainer's package for the fire extinguisher training system.
And you've indicated on our read-ahead material that you anticipate that cost might be $7,600.
Correct.
So it's a few $100s more than what might be left over in the grant, and probably you have a budget line that could absorb that.
Right, we have a budget line called fire prevention, and this is ideal for that particular budget
Any
line.
questions or comments from the board? Yes, sir.
Just working with the CERT team and the people in the town of Goffstown, what the chief is looking at here, safety-wise, is much safer, much better to work with. We're not using any of the old flammable liquids material that's been burnt or gonna be burnt.
What does the fire academy use?
We use propane-fired units, very similar to this. And this is pretty much the state-of-the-art that we're using now. It's a worthwhile investment, I think.
And safety is the big issue. For example, if for some reason the candidate is not grasping the use of a fire extinguisher, the trainer has almost a remote control, and they can shut off the flame within an instant. Versus what we're doing now is we have to physically back them out of the harm's way, and it doesn't turn out to be a very pleasant experience.
Professional takes over.
Exactly. Yes?
How much is left over in the grant, chief?
We have approximately $7,400, just checking the numbers today.
Okay.
Correction to that number.
Oh, 64 is,
Yeah,
So
that's
typo?
changed, that's changed. I was, the couple of the invoices that were outstanding was for the pavement in front of Station 18, when we did some groundwork over there. And I just confirmed it with DPW this afternoon, and they gave me a better number of exactly how much that was gonna be.
can I follow up on that? So is the propane the only expendable material, or are there other materials that need to be replenished? So
No.
I'm wondering about what ongoing operational costs are, so I'm not familiar with these
Yeah.
things.
The ongoing cost for this would be like a propane tank, similar to use in a barbecue system. And it doesn't use much propane. I think talking to other departments that have similar systems, and they may, depending on the number of classes, of course, that they do, but they can see going through a tank in a year.
Okay.
You know, or if they run more classes, of course, they run more propane.
Thank you.
Entertain a motion to allow the chief to do this.
I'll make a motion that we allow Chief O'Brien to purchase the trainer's pack that we have in our read-ahead package for, is that at the correct price, Chief, $7,600?
It'll run approximately that, although of course I'll be talking to the vendor to see if we can get a better price.
In the area of $7,600. Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Should we clarify in the motion that it's gonna use $7,400 of unexpended grant monies?
Oh, certainly.
And the second carries with that?
Yep.
Thank you. In favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0, motion passes. Great, thank you, chief.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It is now 6:10, and that's our official time for public comment. There are no members of the public here. This is an opportunity to present concerns or information to the Board of Selectmen about items that are not on the agenda. So we'll continue with our scheduled agenda. And Sue, you have 10 minutes to start the town administrator's report.
Okay, I probably will be done in 10 minutes. Your meeting schedule for the week is in your packet. The only change as of today is the Wednesday 6:30 HTC meeting has been canceled.
Are there any concerns with board members attending those meetings?
Got it covered.
Thank you. Go ahead, Sue.
The other thing that I did not put in here and just want to bring to your attention is that Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve is on a Monday night this year, so I assume you're not meeting on those nights. But do you want to schedule another meeting during that week or the week after? Because otherwise, that puts you to January 7th, I believe, which is the day before the second Tuesday
Probably,
in January, which is a magical day for petitioned
probably going
articles.
having 2 Mondays off is too long.
Especially that time of year. So, January 2nd is a Wednesday night? Would that be good?
It's good for me.
Works for me.
Yeah.
I'm
January
free.
2nd? Okay.
January 2nd.
And if there's not much, we can always cancel, but I'd like to get a date down just in case.
When do we have to have the encumbrances done?
You have to have that by year end, and we're scheduling those to be before you on the 17th.
Of December?
So there will not be a selectmen's meeting on the 24th of December, nor on the 31st, and it will be held on the 2nd of January.
Yeah, that gives us at least 2 meetings before that second Tuesday in January.
And standard practice, just come in on the weekend if we can sign them. Is they
Yes.
they gonna be signed?
Thank you.
Welcome.
Your consensus folder tonight includes the manifest. The AP warrant is $73,467.01, and the payroll and withholding is $141,620.96. Motion is needed to accept.
So moved.
Second.
In favor of the consensus folder being approved, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0, Catherine?
Yes. Thank you. The school board plans to hold their deliberative session on Saturday, February 2nd, with a snow date of Monday, February 4th, because snow dates have to be held within 72 hours of the original meeting. Therefore, that leaves us Wednesday, February 6th, with a snow date of Thursday, February 7th.
How does that appear for the board members?
I don't see what other choice we have.
Yeah, we pretty much-
Exactly.
Well, just
I don't think you want Friday night, or,
I'll make a motion, if you'd like,
Mhm.
to set the town deliberative session for Wednesday, February 6, 2013, with a snow date of Thursday, February 7, 2013.
I'll second.
thank you for the motion. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
see, I said I'd be done in 10 minutes, and I am.
You did fine. We have a 6:20 presentation, as Sue mentioned, a person to discuss restoration of involuntarily merged lots, and we'll be waiting for him to arrive, so we'll do the best we can with the selectmen's discussion, old business, new business.
Mr. Chairman, you received a legal opinion today. Do you think the members would like to review it before the 6:20 appointment?
Would be good. So,
Take a recess just to review that? And they can each review it individually?
well, yes.
Okay.
Dave, we'll be reading to ourselves a legal opinion for the next 5 minutes, waiting for our guest to arrive. Thank you. We're going to continue with our 6:20 agenda item, which is Mr. Gallo. Say that correctly? Gallo, thank you. And the subject is restoration of involuntarily merged lots, which the town regards as tax map 17, lot 29. So, Mr. Gallo, Mike, if you please come up where the microphones are, and we'll, as we continue to have a dialogue. And if you introduce what you're seeking from this board, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Okay, well, basically, as my letter had stated, we've got, RSA 674-39-AA, which allows, the owner of multiple lots of property that were involuntarily merged by the town to separate them. And I'm exercising my right to do that. Property 27 Eden Street is on 5 lots of record, and the house straddles basically 3 of them, and there's 2 other lots to the side. As I've shown the map, 28 and 29, and I'd like to get it separated where 25, 26, 27 would be taxed, and then 28, 29 would be taxed separately, with the intentions to build on that at a later date.
And when you said the house straddles 3 lots, are you referring to 25, 26, and 27?
Correct.
And I guess the house physically is on 25, 26, and because the driveway is on 27, that's, you include that.
Yes.
Thank you. And I've got one question before I open up to the board for other questions. The property is, by deed, is owned by 2 individuals.
Correct.
Do you have the authority to represent the other individual?
I do.
This letter, how do we know that?
I could bring in documentation to support that.
Okay. Well, we'll take that consideration. What's the form of that documentation?
Basically it would be a release from him. He's releasing his rights in this property to me.
Okay. You're referring to I Realty Investments?
Correct.
And you're representing Potential Properties Corporation?
That's correct.
Thank you. So, any comments from the board members or questions on this issue? Yes. Phil?
Mr. Gallo, when was the property involuntarily merged?
I couldn't tell you exactly when it was, but it's currently taxed as 1 lot, when clearly it was at 1.5 lots.
Okay, so you're saying then, as far as taxation, it's taxed as 1?
Correct.
Yes, Carl, I'm sorry, Carl.
I'm looking at an aerial photograph. Do you have a copy of the aerial photograph available to you?
I have,
I think he has the plans, he doesn't have the aerial photograph. Catherine, in your documentation, could you give him a copy of this one? This one? Yes. Oh, you get the color version.
all right.
Looking at that photo,
Mm-hmm.
25, 26, 27, in this case, it's sort of the right-hand corner. There seems to be a building that's
Okay.
that's bisected
Yes.
by some of the, how would you resolve that? If
I would just demolish that.
Okay.
Well, the other indication is that because that building is there, it's an indication that some previous owner has treated lots 25, 26, and 28 as a single parcel for development. And, I just want to put that into the conversation, because it does indicate, to me, that indicates that a previous owner, and I assume it is a previous owner, had built that structure. To me, it indicates a previous owner had considered the use of those 3 lots as one.
Well, he owned all 5 lots, so,
He developed, he installed a building which occupied 3 of those parcels, and therefore was, the previous owner considered that all 3 of those were voluntarily merged. Okay, Selectman Rose.
And from reading the statute, and the gentleman should know that we do have a legal opinion from our town attorney on this. I think the question for me is, when there is a question as to whether it is an involuntary merger or a voluntary merger, from whose perspective? And I say that as a follow-up to your inquiry. To this gentleman, it may be an involuntary merger because he had nothing to do with it. The previous owners may have voluntarily merged this property, but this gentleman is viewing it as an involuntary merger. And I don't think that was addressed in this legal opinion that we have here. And that's where I would like to have some follow-up, might not be tonight, but with counsel. Because from this gentleman's perspective, as far as he's concerned, it was involuntarily merged. It might have been done so voluntarily by the previous owners, 20, 50, 60 years ago, but for his purposes.
I had addressed that with Brian.
Yeah.
And he had looked into the records, and there was no records of the previous owner ever asking to have these lots merged together.
Right, from what we can see is that this was 1926 that the house went up before you had zoning. By virtue of where the person placed the house on the lot means that the town did not merge it.
Correct.
It's the owners that merged the lot by the fact of how they decided to use that lot and where they decided to place the structures on that lot.
And consequently, where they chose to build on the other parcels, they voluntarily merged the lots through their actions.
If I may read one sentence from the RSA, if any owner in the chain of title voluntarily merged his or her lots, then all subsequent owners shall be stopped from requesting restoration. So that carries through with the discussion we've just had, that in the past, a previous owner has treated at least 4 of those parcels as one for development of the house and other.
And at one time, there was a
Structures.
structure on 29, which is no
burnt
longer
down.
there.
Yeah.
But it was there at one time, so
Correct.
basically, there was something on every lot.
Okay,
And
thank
they
you.
were treated as one.
I drove by today, and yes, that there is no structure on 29.
I think, yeah, maybe a remnants of an old treehouse, maybe, but that's about it.
Now, as I recall, was there a house there that burnt a number of years back? Was this the right
Just-
location?
On
there's nothing,
29?
Yeah. No.
It looks like an accessory structure. And I believe
The other,
aerial photography was 2000.
the other sentence in the RSA, which is guidance for this board, is the municipality shall have the burden of proof. to show that a previous owner voluntarily merged the lot. And so that goes to what we've just been discussing. We have taken upon ourselves to come to a possibility that the previous owners, somewhere in the chain of title, has done that. So we've started to meet the burden of proof. Do we want to ask our town council for any specific question that comes out of the line of thought this evening, or?
Well, I mean, clearly, there's a house that straddles a lot line, right?
Yes.
That's one, and there was another structure that did the same, I think, was it a pool or something?
The swimming pool, yeah, you can see
The
the
pool
pool.
is gone.
Pool's
But
also-
it was
But
there in 2000,
at one
yep.
point, it looks like it was there.
And the driveway went over that lot.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you need a legal opinion I mean, that's a fact. I mean, the fact is that a house is over two parcels. I mean, I think that,
Are you referring to 25 and 26?
That's
hold on.
25, let's see.
I'm just gonna get my
The
picture
main
back.
house,
Yes.
25
Okay.
house.
Yeah, are
There's
we mistaken, or?
There's an outbuilding.
Yeah, 25 and 26,
And then the driveway's on 27.
right.
And then the outbuilding looks like it goes over onto
28, 29.
28.
It's on 3 lots,
28. yeah.
25, 26, and 28.
Yep.
And at one time, there was a pool that straddled 26 and 27.
Now, in terms of the home, the outbuilding and the driveway, they're all still there, right?
Yes.
They were this morning.
Okay. I mean, so for me, I mean, that would be evidence to suggest that this was voluntary. You wouldn't build, I mean, you would not, if you were trying to do something, you would not have done that.
Another factor to consider is that the RSA allows us to restore the merged property back to its original configuration, and that is not what the applicant is asking for. He's asking us to, I'll use the word, I'm not sure if it's correct, but subdivide in a particular fashion that's not restoring the property to 5 separate lots. So
So if
I'm-
it
I'm
is a
not-
subdivision, then.
I'm not sure if this board would have the authority to mix and match these 5 lots to be in some other configuration other than the original 5.
The applicant would have the opportunity to apply for a subdivision with the planning board, and
Also, by doing that, the request is to create a lot that's not a legal
non-conforming.
lot. It's a non-conforming lot, so, I mean, we don't even have that authority.
Have anything else to offer? Next thing is for me to ask for a motion on a ruling.
I guess what would be the process if you guys said that I couldn't do this? What would be the process after that if I didn't agree with the opinion?
Statute
If
doesn't
the
say
statute-
I
appeal.
offered to bring
says-
my attorney, but they told me that wouldn't be necessary, so I just feel like you guys are making your opinion, but I haven't really got a chance. I've had a legal opinion myself, but he's not here.
Would you, well, there's choices. We could postpone the decision until you have your attorney come forward. That's one, or they could make their decision tonight, and then the appeal process is outlined in the statute.
Okay. What is the appeal process? I'm just not familiar with it.
Let's see.
It's in the
All
statute.
decisions of the governing body may be appealed in accordance with the provisions of RSA 676. So I'd have to go to 676.
30 days, probably.
Pardon me?
Probably 30 days.
Same as planning board,
I
right,
would
and
assume.
CBA?
I mean, I'm not adverse to postponing this. I
I'm not
mean,
either.
if that gives you more time to have your attorney articulate your point of view, I mean, we want to be fair to you. I can only speak for myself, but it looks to me as if it wasn't involuntarily merged. That's just from my looking at the aerials and looking at the statute, and the statute says that it has to be involuntarily merged, and it looks like it was voluntarily merged by a prior owner sometime back. That's why they put the house there. That's this outbuilding that's over the 3 parcels. So at some point, somebody said, hey, I'm gonna do this. Obviously.
But there's not a record of that, is there?
The
There,
evidence is the placement of the houses.
yeah, that's what I would say. I think the prima facie evidence would be the fact that the buildings are where they are. So and by doing that, when you place, especially the home. you
So,
place a
okay, I
home-
understand the home.
Yeah.
I definitely understand that. So let's just say this outbuilding wasn't here.
Right.
Would
But
that
it's
change
there.
anything in?
But it is.
But it's
That-
there,
but it
No, I
is.
know, but I'm just curious.
Yeah.
but it's there. Somebody built that, voluntarily built that there.
As they did the driveway and at one point a swimming pool.
Right.
Yeah, so somebody intended it all to
Treated
be
it all as
one.
one parcel.
But so what if they put a garage over
But that's
straddling?
not what happened. We're dealing with the facts.
Excuse me.
We're not what-ifs. We're dealing with facts. What's happened.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I
The
think.
fact that there's a shed straddling the lot makes the difference, you think?
Sure. It crosses 2 lots. It's
Three.
treating the
Three
2
lots.
pieces as
Three.
one.
3 lots.
And that one is 3.
That's what it does.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from personally, but I think that the evidence is pretty compelling. But I want to be fair to you, and if your attorney can provide us with something that maybe we're missing, then I think that would be, we'd certainly want to hear that. At least I would.
I
wanna
just,
hear that.
I just think that this RSA does not apply to your case. Because they've been, a person in the past that owned this property, or persons in the past have treated this, and they voluntarily merge it through their actions.
That's what the RSA says.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I mean, I have no
comment.
problem with putting off a decision. I don't think there's any need to rush to a decision at this point, and afford him the opportunity to come forward with his legal counsel to more fully articulate his legal opinion on this, so that we can consider it. So I'm certainly,
So what would that be,
Open
2
to that.
weeks?
No, next week,
Next week?
Sure.
Okay.
next Monday.
And
All
if
right.
you consult with your attorney,
Mhm.
and you tell your attorney, it looks like many members of the board are leaning towards saying that this does not apply
Mhm.
to my situation because previous owners voluntarily place structured straddling.
Yeah, that's
lot
exactly what I'm
lines,
gonna tell him.
Okay? He may say to you.
Because that's a conversation we
Right.
didn't have
And
yet.
he or she may say to you, that's a good point, there's no need for me to charge you to come down here for an hour and
Right.
talk to these folks. So, and if that's the case, if you could communicate back with town hall.
Oh, absolutely.
Then next week, we'll make a decision, and you don't have to be here, and this way.
Yeah,
you
if
can
we could
have
do
that
that, if we could
consultation.
table it a week, and if for some reason between now and then, if he agrees with your opinion, I'll just cancel.
Does that sound fair? or-
Yeah.
I guess I have a follow-up question. It goes to my earlier point where the RSA says we could make a decision to restore the
Involuntarily merged.
the lots to its original 5 configurations.
Remerge it.
That's five lots for tax consideration, property tax assessment.
But that's not what's being requested because
Yes, so
Three of the lots
I'm
are
concerned whether,
developed.
if we took that action and said, yes, restore the tax map and lots to 5 configurations, then would the applicant the next day come in and say, I voluntarily merged 3? That
Right.
could be a scenario.
I see what you're saying.
I see
Yes.
4, though.
I'm just offering ideas as to,
Mhm. I can ask
Well-
him what his opinion of that is as well.
Have you gotten an opinion on whether or not, because if you had gotten the request
Mhm.
approved tonight, you would have had a non-conforming lot?
Mhm.
I mean, if you merge those two.
Correct.
It would still be non-conforming because it doesn't meet the
I
10,000
understand that.
square feet.
Mhm.
What was your plans at that point?
I would have to go under non-conforming building.
So you'd have to go through the ZBA process in order to get
Yeah,
variance?
I've actually been through this exact same situation with Derry, and I did the same thing. There wasn't a structure that straddled a separate lot, so that was something that was different. But that went through, and I didn't even have to meet with planning or anything. And I'm dealing with it in another town as well right now. So at that point, they treat it as a non-conforming building lot. So there's a special set of restrictions I have to go by in order to do that.
Right. You usually have to go to the zoning board of adjustment to get a variance.
Usually, it depends. I guess each town's a little different, but a lot of times you don't need a variance.
Did you get to that point of discussion with Brian Rose, that if you were
Yes.
successful,
Mhm.
what you'd have to do here? Okay.
Yeah, the
Because I
setbacks are
assume
a little.
your plan is to build, if you
Yes,
were able to.
exactly.
To build on that.
Things
Mhm.
like not even.
So, then, I feel we have a consensus on the board, this evening, Mike, that, you're welcome to come back here. We'll have you on the agenda for next Monday. And,
Same time, 6:10?
Okay.
the minutes from this board are published, Friday noontime,
No, later. By
Pardon?
the end of the day Friday.
by the end of the day Friday.
Mhm.
So, you might want give the town's website to your attorney. so
They'll be
he
on the
can
website at that
download-
point. Okay.
Download a set of what we've just been discussing in the
Mhm.
minutes.
Okay, so I'll just, if for some reason, he has the same opinion that you guys have had up to this point, then I'll just call the selectmen and cancel. Okay.
Good.
Easy enough.
Okay.
So I'm all set?
Yeah.
Thank you very
guys.
much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good one.
In opening the session this evening, I rushed over one of the agenda items, and I'll take care of that now. Tomorrow, which is the 27th, yes, 27th of November, at the Gulfstown Police Department, they're holding an open forum for mental and medical health registrations. And that's a forum in which there's a number of health providers there to answer questions about people who are in your residence that may have mental conditions or medical conditions. And if an emergency responder were to go to that resident, it helps to know ahead of time the situation that they could be facing, as well as getting counseling from various health providers who are there at that forum. So that's tomorrow, Gulfstown Police Department, 5 to 7 p.m. Next Monday, we're holding a public hearing, the subject of which is to establish contingency flat rate fees for debris typically weighed at our transfer station in the event that we're unable to weigh that debris and therefore charge a fee according to the weight. As a contingency, those flat rates, when we're unable to weigh, would be the following. If a person who arrives with a half-ton pickup truck, the fee is $20. A 3/4 or 1-ton pickup truck, the resident would pay $30, and these are residential charges. I'll cover commercial in a moment. 1 1/4 ton pickup truck, the flat fee would be $50. Debris that's in a single axle trailer, $25. Debris that's in a double axle trailer, $50. And debris that is brought into the transfer station in a box truck, $100. The minimum charge for any debris brought in that is typically weighed would be $20. The commercial commercial firms bringing in the debris, which is typically weighed, would be double those amounts that I just read. That'll be a public hearing. It'll be on the agenda next Monday, and it's been advertised in the newspaper this morning. I saw it.
Yes.
This morning's Union Leader. That's Monday, the 26th. Okay. There any other announcements by board members besides the two I just had? Okay. Old business, new business. Old business. Yes.
Could I just get a refresher on where we stand with the issue of snow plowing, with winter quickly approaching? Where are we at with that? We're supposed to get estimates from various churches and organizations to determine whether or not there's a quid pro quo.
That decision was already made. We're
Was it?
waiting for the,
Well,
the
that's
board made that decision to continue the plowing. We're just waiting for the formal agreements from Attorney Drescher.
Okay, that's how I know. So we haven't got those yet?
No, we don't.
Okay, thank you.
I think we had to get this one from the other one.
Yeah,
We may need another one on
Priorities, huh?
top of this
we
one.
keep
Yeah.
bumping, yeah.
Thank you.
Mark?
I'm good.
Good, thank you. New business. It's been a quiet board this evening. May I have a report from our representative on the Budget Committee? The Budget Committee met this week.
I was gonna comment under new business where we dealt this year with a lot of Facebook and media policies and things like that. I would strongly urge that we send a message out to the department heads that if they have not come up with any type of policies, that they would strongly encourage something. There was something that kind of went out that I brought to the attention of the town administrator that kind of upsets me a little bit, and I would hope that all the bosses and the correct people come up with a policy to curtail anything from happening again.
And so the point is that this board allowed them to use social media, but with a plan.
Yeah, two distinct things. One is, we do have a social media policy regarding the town using social media. That's been established by the board. But I think what Selectman Lemay is referring to is more of the second piece that we haven't developed yet in terms of employees using their own Facebook policy regarding town issues. And I know the police chief and the fire chief have SOPs regarding that for crime scenes, and they have their own internal policy, but not every department has a policy on that. And I think what he's saying is to encourage every department head to address that
Correct.
somehow in their departments.
So, besides the police and fire, you're looking for
Highway, Parks and
Works.
Rec, Public Works,
Public Works.
you know, yep.
Would having those two departments review what the fire and police have, maybe it will spark a thought or two along that line?
Are we specifically leaving out the other department?
Administration, I'm sorry.
Well,
It was
there's more than 4 departments. is
I
my
was
point.
just testing you, Phil.
I can't,
Well, I was just checking to make sure if you're only being specific to 4 departments,
We have-
exempting the others.
we had taken this up before, but we didn't get into this piece of it when we had attended social media workshops. There were
Right.
two pieces. One is how you're going to handle it as a town in terms of what you're going to allow on your town computers. The other piece was, how are you going to restrict, or how do you want to restrict, or do you want to restrict employees? And the obvious one that always came to light is we didn't want crime scene incidents on Facebook before families were notified
Right. And it's
of
inappropriate.
accidents or whatever. And so that was the highest priority, and so the chiefs did develop their own internal policies for that. But now, maybe we look to the personnel plan to develop a policy in there regarding town events or incidents. So we can
Okay.
scrub the dust
Let's move
off
on.
those workshop notes and see what the best direction is to go with that.
Okay, well, thank you for taking lead on that, Sue.
Okay.
Any other new business? And go back to the Budget Committee? Didn't-
Yep, Budget Committee met before Thanksgiving. We heard the presentation from the school district. Tomorrow night we'll be meeting again, also covering mostly school budget items. And then Thursday, I believe we're having the fire chief, and we're going back to the town for follow-up questions and motions to be made on town budget. So that's kind of where we're at. We talked about separate articles or warrant articles. My question is, you know, obviously they would like to get any bargaining unit agreement ASAP, and I don't know what the status is of that. And then any other articles that we might have, as soon as they can, they would prefer to get that. I've already shared with them the ones that I'm pretty sure that we're gonna be putting on the ballot, the ones that come from use of fund balance, and then I think there is a place marker for the Teamsters contract as well.
And the Teamsters have ratified.
Okay.
So that happened recently?
Yes, the
Thank you.
day after you folks voted on it.
Yes.
Well, if I could get that, electronic copy of that, and give it to the.
Do you want the cost items, because that's what we're supposed to present, the
Yes.
cost items to the budget committee?
Yes.
I'll give you my spreadsheet.
But, I mean, ultimately, it is, that's what we give to the budget committee. Ultimately, anybody could ask for the contract, right? Or no? Is that-
Until it's ratified.
Well, it is ratified.
mean,
Well,
it's
ratify a
voted.
town meeting.
I don't know about that.
I think we've had this discussion.
We have
We
had
have
this
had
discussion.
this
I'm just
discussion
remembering
before.
what came of it, but,
Yeah, there's supposed to be, the budget submission deadline, they're supposed to get the cost. The budget committee's recommendation should be based on cost only.
that I do know.
And
But,
that's what we're required to release, the actual details that support how those costs were figured.
I just don't
I can
remember.
give that, yeah.
I don't remember what came of that, but
I'll look that up.
anyway, if I could get that
Yep.
by Thursday, that would be great.
Sure.
Thank you, Sue, for taking care of that and sending the data to Scott.
You're good.
The other thing that they requested was, which is typical, and that's just the salary information of all town employees. They requested that information. We don't put health insurance information because that's a violation of HIPAA, so that's not part of it, but Sue did compile that, and she said she was gonna forward over to Peter as well.
That's a lump sum value you provide. them.
Salaries only.
The salaries for
And
every
longevity,
individual
but
person in their
the health-
position.
The health costs,
Health costs are in the budget as a lump sum.
a lump sum,
Right.
yes.
Due to privacy laws.
Mhm. Any further discussion by the board members this evening?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Second,
So Reese, I can call us.
give it to Collis.
It's a record.
Those wanting to adjourn, please say aye.
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 Who kid,
David,
no, 'cause he wasn't.
we have adjourned.